question. Well, I don't know whether I've been told this so much that it is my first basketball memory, but I first remember going to my brother's practices at Redditch Vale actually, and standing on the baseline and trying to join in on the drills, having a basketball in my hand and just hoping that nobody noticed that I'm just at the end of the line. But yeah, I just remember basically dribbling up and down the court while they're practicing, and just trying to play as much as possible, probably because I'm seeing them play and wanting to join in. Very full on basketball. So obviously my dad playing and then coaching, and then my two older brothers playing. All we did really was talk about basketball, and then my mum's obviously heavily involved as well. So it was really good in that I had some great teachers I could speak to and learn from. But yeah, we talk about basketball quite a lot in our house. I tried a little bit of everything really, but nothing really stuck like basketball. I think because I'd been playing so long from whenever I could remember really. Like nothing really compared. And then obviously I had the family connection. Everyone else around me was playing basketball, and I was always involved in basketball. That no other sport stood a chance. I think when I turned like 10 or 11 and I started being invited to like England camps and stuff, I think that's when I really started to take it seriously. Um, I I guess I saw the opportunities that basketball could give me, and I was being recognised for being good for my age. So I think that excited me as well. So yeah, I think around 10 or 11, I started to really focus on it being as like a career. I think my first ambition was to go to America, like a lot of people. And at the time, there wasn't that many females that had gone before me. And there was obviously, but some, but not. It wasn't as common as it is now. But yeah, that was my goal, to go to America. I'd seen like how college sports were treated. I saw like the lights and how professional it looked, and that really appealed to me. But that was like my first big goal, trying to get a scholarship to America. I'm a point guard. Um, I I love to pass, but I can score as well if I need to. I think, yeah, I just like to sort of direct and control the game as much as possible, but while also trying to get all my teammates involved and playing the best they can play, really. So yeah. Because I was so close to my family growing up, I think that's who I looked up to. So I looked up to my two older brothers, um, Callum and James, and my dad obviously coached teams that I'd watch players and be excited about and stuff. But I think Callum and James were probably the main two, because they were good at their age group as well. Main two that I looked up to and sort of, I guess, followed in their footsteps. Yeah, so I think a lot of people say that I have the same crossover as Callum. So he must have influenced me somewhere along the line. We've always been really supportive of each other. I think because we have such similar experiences. Um, we all obviously played junior basketball, played for England, went to America, came back, played professionally. So I think they've always been a great sounding board for me. And then obviously I respect them as players as well. So I know their opinion matters. I hope that it's the same way around for me as well. But yeah, we're each other's biggest fans, and toughest critics probably sometimes. But I think that's what makes it so great, is that they'll be honest with me, and I respect what they say, and likewise for them as well. But yeah, I'm very loyal to my family, and they're very important to me. So I think, yeah, it shows in our conversations. I'm really, really competitive. Um, I would say 10. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm really competitive. I hate to lose, whether it's in practice or games. I think I've got better at losing. I don't think I'm as sore of a loser as I used to be. But I think I understand, losing is part of the game, but that doesn't stop me from being any more competitive during it. Probably to be decisive. It was actually the senior women's England coach at the time. I was only about 10 or 11, but he was at a tournament, a junior tournament, and he spoke to me afterwards, and he just said, basically, every time you second guess yourself as a player, you're going to more than likely make a mistake. So he basically reiterated that being decisive, whether you're wrong or right, at least you know what the outcome is. So if you go to pass the ball and you hold back and don't pass it, then more than likely you're going to pass the ball late and there might be a turnover. Whereas if you go to pass the ball and you go for it and you're 100% in, you pass the ball and you then turn it over, then you know that that was the wrong pass to make, rather than my indecisiveness made the mistake. So I think that was probably the best thing that I've implemented and I still think about today, is be decisive in every action that you do. You commit to it, and if it goes wrong, you learn from it, and if it goes right, great, you know that it works. I remember playing a lot of games and a lot of practices because I used to play up quite a lot. So there'd be some weekends where I'd be playing like under 14s, under 16s, under 18s, and then under 16s, under 18 seniors. So I remember playing all the time. I'd practice with the juniors, then go on to the seniors. So a lot like some of the players are doing now. So I just remember basketball was literally everything. Every night, 2 trainings a night, 3 games at the weekend maybe. So lots of playing, and then obviously the people. We had so many good players come through our program that I grew up with, but then also the players that came in the senior team I was able to learn from, and then on top of that, really just really great coaches. So I had Jim Carnegie growing up. He was a great influence on me. He was so positive, and I think he just really let us play the game and understand through playing. So yeah, and just the right way to play, like moving the ball, passing the ball, sharing the ball. He really celebrated the good pass rather than the shot. So I think he influenced me a lot growing up as a junior. And then obviously Sergio was the senior coach when I was there. And he was great with me. Gave me a lot of chances as a younger player to play with the senior team. And he really understood how important that was for my development. So I'm really grateful for that as well. Really challenging, but also really worth it. My first year, we had 2 returners not come back to the team, which meant that as a freshman, I was playing like 40 minutes most games as the only point guard, really, which was really good for me because I kind of got through in at the deep end, and I had a really good year. But as a team, we weren't as deep, so we didn't have a great season as a team. So yeah, I ended up getting newcomer of the year for the conference, which was great, which sort of gave me confidence and allowed me to believe that I belonged at this level. So that was really good for my whole game in general. And then the following year, I actually had an injury, which meant I was out for 6 months. So that was a really challenging year. I really struggled because obviously we go over there to play basketball. So when that's taken away from us, it's almost like, what do we do? What do we do now? Why are we here? You start questioning things. But I think that also allowed me to sort of have a different perspective on things, sort of try and find the positives in other areas why I was there. Because I was around great people, I was at a great school, like I was able to then look at things other than basketball and appreciate them, as well as having a different perspective from the side of the court, watching the games, more like a coach rather than being on the court and being so involved. So that was also a positive, negative, positive situation. And then my final 2 years, we were really good as a team. We ended up winning the conference. But then we never actually made it to the NCAA tournament because we lost in our conference tournament. It's very up and down journey, but I definitely learned a lot. It definitely grew me as a player, and yeah, I appreciate it for everything that it was, really. Again, I was really fortunate that I had a coach that believed in me. So Mark Clark was the senior women's team coach at the time, and he had coached me at the under-16s Europeans. And after that tournament, he basically invited me to the senior women's camp. And to be honest, I went there thinking I'm just trying my best and see what I can do. I was around great players like Andrea Congreve, like Christy Lavin. There was so many players that was just like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. As a 16-year-old kid, but yeah, I went there, and I think probably playing at the Europeans and then going straight to camp afterwards really helped me. I just felt confident, and I played really well in the camp and stuff. And then he ended up selecting me, I think, as sort of a learning experience more than anything. And we had 4 games, and by the 4th game, I played, I think, around 30 minutes, a lot of minutes. So I guess he had so much faith in me, which again gave me a lot of confidence as well. So yeah, I went from playing a few minutes in the first game to 30 in the last game. And yeah, it was just a really great experience. Mark's a great coach. I love him as a coach. And yeah, like I learned so much from all the different players, and just really fortunate to be part of it at such a young age. The first time we played for GB, it was the first time all of us had played for GB, because before that it was England. So that was really special. We had a little ceremony after the game just as a team. We were singing the national anthem, and that tradition's actually stuck till this day. So anyone that gets their first cap has to sing the national anthem, do a little speech. So we had that, and that was really special. I remember that forever. But actually playing the game was pretty terrifying. Just not wanting to make a mistake, and yeah, just doing the best I could. But yeah, it was a really special moment, and just to share it with such great players was even more special. Played Estonia. That was our first game in Estonia. I can't even remember the result. I think we might have lost. I can't remember, but I think, yeah, it was just yeah, so many games since then. But I know that the following year was the year that we did really well and got promoted. So the first year was definitely a learning year, and then the second year was where we came together and we got stuff done. Yeah, when we came back to the Mystics and we got to the cup final and we won it, yeah, that was a great feeling, more so because of the players that were on the team. So I think that's so important. Who you're playing with is so important. And by that, I mean the type of people that you're playing with. So it was really great to play alongside good people, friends, that, and then achieve something like that was just really, really great. Like, so just really good memory. I'll remember it forever. Just that we could compete against the best in the league and win was just a really great feeling. Coming back to Mystics and playing, having a good season really gave me confidence on the international level. Obviously then going to the Commonwealths and getting the silver medal was the best memory of my career, best experience. I think as a GB team, as an England team, we had been on such a good journey, and that was just the, like, I guess almost the start of the success coming through. We'd had so many years of playing and not necessarily getting the results, and it was now our like hard work was being rewarded. So that was the first thing. We got the silver medal and we were like, yeah, we're good, we can compete at this level. And then obviously the results kept coming for GB as well in the international windows, and we got to Eurobasket, And then when we got to Eurobasket again, the chemistry was just so good on that team. We had great players, great people, and we were just able to come forth, which was amazing, and will go down in history. And I'm very, very proud of being part of that team. Yeah, so in 2018, at the Commonwealth Games, yeah, Jamel proposed to me. So that was very big surprise. I was completely oblivious, had no idea it was happening. I'm usually quite oblivious to stuff like that, but yeah, he basically told me that I needed or to come down to the court after the game and have a picture taken because the newspaper had asked for us to have our picture, which I thought was normal because they'd been doing it all week. We'd had a lot of press around us, and Jamel had actually played in Townsville the previous year in the summer. So a lot of people already knew him. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. I'll come down. So I'm taking my time and I see him on court and he's like, hurry up, get down here. And I'm like, all right, what's the rush? I don't understand. Why am I being rushed here? But anyway, I got down there and I'm putting my jacket on, and then I turned around and he's on one knee and I was like, oh my gosh, couldn't believe it. So surprised. But yeah, it was great. My brother being there, my family being there, obviously made it even more special. And then all my teammates running down and congratulating me. Yeah, it was just a great experience. I think basketball will always be part of my life for sure. I think I do want to explore other things. I think it takes over. It is being such the focus of my life from a very early age, and I love it. I'm so passionate about it. I will always love basketball and always be involved in some way, but I also want to experience other things and find out what else I'm passionate about, I guess. So yeah, it's just yeah, it's a big part of me, and it will always be a part of me. But yeah, hopefully other things will be in there as well. I've been coming to terms with the fact that I need to be grateful for what I have achieved in the past. I think we sort of, as players, get a bit lost in what's next, and not look back as much. I think I'm 30 now. I think for me, I want to make sure that I have good domestic seasons. I want to still win things with the Mystics. I want to try and encourage and teach younger players that are coming up. I think that's probably my biggest goal, is to try and lead by example for our youth players in our club, and just show them basically how to play the game, but yeah, how to be a basketball player that's going to be successful in all areas, not just skills, but how you handle yourself, um, how you're a good teammate. So I think my biggest focus and goal right now is just to be a leader and try and show people the right way to play the game, I guess. Um, Manchester's extremely close to my heart. Manchester made me the player that I am today. So I will always be willing to give back to Manchester in whatever role fits, kind of thing. I have thought about coaching. I think it's really hard right now to get involved in coaching because I know I would be that type of person that would want to fully commit to it. So while I'm still playing, I think that would be a bit difficult for me. But definitely when I'm done playing, I think I'll be involved for sure in some way. Yeah, in whatever anyone wants me in, I guess, whatever role people see fit. So when I was 7, I was diagnosed with diabetes. I'd basically lost a lot of weight, and I was drinking and going to the toilet all the time, like constantly. So I went to the doctors, and yeah, he basically said, you've got diabetes. And at the time, I didn't obviously understand the impact that meant. But yeah, it basically meant that I was on injections for the rest of my life. When they told me that, yeah, that was a bit of a hard-hitting factor here, I guess, as a 7-year-old. But again, I think it was sort of beneficial that I was so young, because I grew up with diabetes. There wasn't many memories from before being diabetic. I was already playing basketball, so that changed a little bit, but I wasn't obviously playing to the level that I play at now, like all the time, every day. So I kind of grew up being a diabetic player as well, which really helped. I think if I would have been diagnosed at 14 or 16, it would have been a bit more of a challenge. But yeah, it literally affects every part of my day. It's just that I'm used to it now, I guess. It's just another part of me. So it'll mean that I am testing my blood sugar quite often throughout practices and throughout games, and focusing on what I'm eating before, during and after games, and being quite strict with it just to be able to compete at the level that I do. Obviously, I get it wrong sometimes, and there's mistakes, and you'll see me like cramming jelly beans down my throat and in the middle of half time or something like that. But yeah, more often than not, I'm pretty well controlled with it. And to be honest, it's made me be really disciplined in most areas of my life, really. So it's been a good thing overall. So when I was first diagnosed, I was put on 2 injections a day. So yeah, usually it sort of goes up as you get older. So I started on 2 injections a day, and I moved to 4 injections a day, probably when I was around 10 or 11. So that meant I had to basically learn to do injections myself, because I would have been at school, and so that was a big change for me. And then obviously playing basketball meant that I had to have even more control. So I would be given lots of little injections, so very small amounts of insulin around playing, just to make sure that I was maintaining the right levels and not going too low and stuff like that. So as I got older, the more I had to do manually. And I remember being, I think, around 18, and my diabetic nurses were pushing for me to go onto a pod, onto a pump, an insulin pump. So they basically said to me, you'll have so much better control, but it'll be on you permanently. And for an 18-year-old, I was just very against that idea. I was like, I don't want anything on me. I don't want people to know I'm diabetic. I think when I was growing up, I was very, I just want to look normal. I just want to, I don't want people to give me sympathy. Like, I was very just against the idea of people knowing, I guess, which was detrimental, like, to me, because when I went to America, that was probably the hardest time where diabetes like affected me. I remember for the 4 years I was trying to just not go low, which meant that my blood sugars were really high throughout those 4 years. So I'm constantly giving these injections, like up to 10, 12 injections a day, just trying to get that level of constant. And then when I came back from America, I was like, okay, it's time. Like, that was, if I want to continue playing basketball at this level, I need to prioritize my health, because it's just becoming too much, basically, too much to deal with. So that's when I went onto an insulin pump when I came back from America. And that changed my life completely. So that meant that there is something permanently on me that I change every 3 days, basically. And that allows me to not give injections, and basically use a monitor that sends the information to the insulin pump and releases the insulin for me. So that meant that if I did need a little dose, it didn't mean pulling an injection out and having an injection. It just meant pressing a button, and I could just release a little bit of insulin. So that was a huge game changer. And then most recently, there's been a new sort of thing, I guess, where it's a glucose monitoring system, which is what's on my arm. So that's what most people see now. Because even the pump that's on my lower back, you can't see that. It's very rare that people notice that, but the one on my arm is very visible. And that, again, it was a game changer. So until then, I would have to prick my finger and find out my blood glucose through that. And obviously playing basketball, it meant that I was pricking my finger so much, so many times a day just to try and stay on top of my sugar levels. So this allows me to use another monitor, and I get to swipe, and it tells me not only what my glucose is, but also the direction that I'm moving in. So if I am 7 and I'm going up, then I know that, okay, I need to be careful, watch them, maybe get some insulin on board. But obviously while playing, that's a great thing to know which direction my sugars are traveling in, just so I can prevent it, and I'm able to play. So yeah, it's been really helpful. I don't know really what it's like to not have diabetes. It's just something you do, like brush your teeth every day. Obviously it's a bit more complex than that. There's a lot of decisions that are constantly going on in your head, about how much you're eating and what activity you did, not only just now but the day before, and there's a lot of different elements that go onto it. But like I said, I've not known any different, and yeah, I think honestly it's been a motivating factor for me. It's driven me in ways that other things probably wouldn't have, because I've always had the mentality of wanting to achieve regardless of being diabetic. So yeah, it's sort of been a motivating factor as well. I think always be willing to listen and learn. And a lot of coaches talk about it being coachable. And that doesn't mean that everything that you hear is fact and you have to implement it. But I think the willingness to listen to different perspectives, and not always think you know everything. I know for a fact that I am still learning every single day, whether that's even just, like I said, the perspective on things. I might think this is the best way to do something, but there is other perspectives, and nobody really knows. Like basketball's such a broad game. There's so many different things you can learn. I think as soon as you think I know everything, you stop growing. So I think it's really important to just be open to listening to teammates, coaches, people around you, and then with all of that information, then you can make an informed decision of what you want to implement and what you don't. So yeah. This is a tough one as well. I always say stuff like stretch and look after your body, which is so important. I think I've learned that now, more than anything, is just look after your body, because yeah, without it, you're not going to be able to play. And yeah, if you're passionate about basketball, you'll want to play as long as possible. So I think my biggest thing is really listen to that advice of looking after your body, and yeah, just making sure you do whatever you can to be in great shape, to prolong your career more than anything. But yeah, on top of that, I think just be confident and know that you're able and you're capable of doing the things that you're doing. I think basketball is such a confidence game. It's very up and down, and I think in my later years, I've sort of grasped that more than my younger years. I think I was so worried in my younger years about performing, and so many people focused on stats, and really the game is so much more than that. It's so much more. Like, you can have an amazing game and it not show up on the stat line, but also you can have great teammates and have such great experiences that it's regardless what, like, it doesn't matter what's happening. It doesn't matter the results, it doesn't matter the stats. So I think there's more to the game than people just see. And I think if you focus so much on stats and personal performance, you're not going to get the most out of the game. So I think that would be the other thing that I would tell myself. No, like, no one is perfect in basketball, in life. No one is perfect. So I think knowing that everyone is trying, and regardless of like mistakes, it doesn't matter. As long as your teammate is trying, you can be supportive and motivate. But I think a lot of, like I said before, a lot of basketball is confidence. So if you see teammates head down, then go pick them up. They're on your team. You need them. I think as soon as you start thinking selfishly as a teammate, there's no point in you playing basketball. You should play an individual sport. So I think as a good teammate, you need to be aware of what's going on around you and trying to uplift the people that you respect and they're your teammates. And yeah, that's just how the game should be played, just trying to make each other better, and so we can perform at a high level. We have a lot of talent in the junior programs. I think it's important for them to be around senior players. I think that's how I grew as a player. I think that's what's important. We need role models and leaders ahead of these juniors that they can learn from and grow from. I think we've obviously done great things on the international level as a GB team and England team. And I hope that inspires people. And I hope more than just inspires people because of the results, but more how we played. I think the focus is always on results. Oh, they've done really well, so they're inspiring. But actually, are you paying attention to how we're playing the game and how the chemistry is, and how players will do anything and are willing to do anything for the team? And I think obviously when you're growing up, that's a really hard concept, because you're so focused on yourself. You want to help the team by being individually as good as you can, which is correct, but don't get lost in that and sort of learn that you can have a role in a team that's very important, that will make the team win. And it might not always show up on the stats, as I mentioned, but I think learning how the game should be played from older players is really important. I hope that we continue this progress on the international stage, but also domestically. I know the WBBL has improved year after year. We've not only got great import players, but we've also got great domestic players that are sticking around and playing for their clubs. So I think that's another key. We need to keep progressing, and we need to shine a light on it when we are successful, both domestically and internationally. I think sometimes we do great things and it goes under the radar. So in order for us to inspire, we need to be seen. So I think shouting as loud as possible about it, hopefully, it becomes more appealing to more younger players and they continue to play rather than choosing a different path.